social slime, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air, fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social side, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear, fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again. Yeah.
Welcome to the show. This is Canada Live. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. It is, I have no idea what the date is. Somebody tell me what the date is. 29th of November, 2015. And I'm your host for the next 2 hours. This is Game On. And I'm tired, man. I gotta be honest. I'm tired. I was up late last night and got up. Well, just not enough time, I suppose, and doing that show Saturday night, and then this one's Sunday. But we'll keep doing her. We'll just keep on doing what we're doing. And anyways, last night after the show, which was about the death of Morris Strong, I put a little thing up on Facebook, and I just cracked the same thing up on my blog before showtime, because I know a lot of people dislike Facebook. I'm one of them. But you got to pound this stuff out any way you can. So that's what I did. And where did you see? There it is. So anyways, this is what I just punched this up real quick on it's just a picture of Morris Strong with his it's kind of a semi of his saying there, you know, we may get to the point where the only way of saving the world will be for the industrial civilization to collapse. That's kind of a paraphrase of what he said. And so I punched that up on Facebook last night. So I want to thank Morris this morning because he garnered me some new page likes. So thank you, Morris, very much for that. And I, excuse me, I got some pretty interesting comments. But this one here, I'm going to throw this in the chat because this happens to be my favorite of all of that I've seen so far. And I don't know why I get a kick out of this particular particular one, but I did. I don't know. I don't know why I find this funny. Because there was a lot of pretty good comments, but that one I don't know. I saw it this morning before airtime, and it just kind of made me giggle a little bit. So somebody over on Facebook left a note. Right now, may Satan be shoving pineapples up his arse. And I thought that was pretty prophetic. And yeah, so that was good. But the fact is, all of these guys, you know, I mean, they've been at this for, hardcore. They've been hardcore at this. Like I was in my mid 20s, early mid 20s, 24 probably. And I've said this before, when I ended up in Earth that day, this was in the time of the false oil crisis, and media's pounding out like they always do, the dark side of everything. I mean, I grew up in the era of, the nuclear threat, and they would bring out, anytime they wanted to move the public somewhere, they would bring out the clock, and they would show us that we're 5 minutes to midnight or 3 minutes to midnight. And this was to show us that we were that close. If the clock struck midnight or struck 12, then it was game over for the planet in an all-out nuclear war between America and Russia. So they always use these things to move the masses, if you will, to where they want them. So they have these tools they use, and this time they're using climate change because they took the Iron Curtain down in Russia and they took the wall down in Berlin so that we could join the world to be one. But then, of course, we needed a new global crisis that could only be solved at the global level, which was environment. So it goes. So, I've been pummeled with this nonsense basically since I was born. I was born in 54, which is just after the end of the World War II, and early on in the game of the United Nations and Israel. So I've been pounded, and anybody my age been pounded with this nonsense since we were born, and it just keeps coming at us. The idea is I figure out how are you going to wake these people up. Like I went up to get a coffee this morning. And I looked on the front page of all the papers that were there, and I see no mention today that Morris Strong died. And this is what they do. And I don't even know if he is dead. I made that comment in Facebook last night. I said every instance I found of this notice is the same notice. It's just been put through Canadian Press or something. So is Morris Strong dead? I don't know. There's no time of death. There's no place of death, even though we know he was in Beijing, but no time or place of death. Well, the media knows where he's at because they're always pushing the agenda. So they know exactly where the hell the son of a bitch was, but they don't mention where he was. No place or time or cause of death mentioned. So is he really dead? Well, we can only hope, but who knows? I mean, somebody left a comment. Why would Morris Strong be dead at 86? Why wouldn't they just do what they did with? Prince Philip's well into his 90s seems to be still pretty damn spry. Rockefeller's 100. I don't know. I read somewhere. I can't verify it, so I don't know if it's true that he's had his 5th or 6th heart transplant. I have no idea if that's true or not. But he's 100. Dick Cheney doesn't even have a heart. As last time I heard, he's just running on mechanical shit. He's still getting around. So the guy says, why would they allow Morris Strong to die? Did he tick somebody off, or what the hell is going on here? And somebody else left a comment. They probably froze him up like they did Disney, Walt Disney, through cryonics or what do they call that, and bring him back later. So yeah, and it seems awful convenient that he dies days before the COP21 in Paris ramps up. So it's something smelly here. If he died, great, because Someday, hopefully, I have the cash to start up something I mentioned on Orion Radio way back when I was there, and I said to my co-host at the time, and I said, we need to look into starting up a tourist tour thing, and we'll just name it something like Piss on Their Graves Tour. When someone like Morris Strong or Rockefeller or Prince Philip or any of these guys, David Suzuki, Gore, any of these clowns, and especially the ones in the background, the Rothschilds and that when they die, we just book a tour, and we all go over there and just piss on their graves. So, when they said Morris Strong died, but they don't tell me where, when, or how are we supposed to book a tour to go piss on his grave? I don't know. So maybe some more information will come out about that. So anyways, we're headed to, yeah, that's exactly right. Somebody, Otto here leaves that. The climate change conference will go on no matter how much terrorism they have to invent. And it's all invented. It's always been invented. People do not run around terrorizing one another. If you look at if you look up in Webster's and etymology and that, you will find that terrorism originally was the government who were the terrorists. Terrorism is not. Terrorism is basically government sponsored, and so the government is the terrorist. And the American Constitution warns people, or the founders of America warned people that the government would turn into a terrorist organization, and that when they did, it was the people's duty to go and take them out. Now, my attitude is that, America is a beautiful place, beautiful people. Getting messed up pretty bad, though. They infuse them with drugs, and they infuse them with racial violence, and they infuse them with a propagandist education system. So they've really done a number on the good people of America, as they have everywhere else. But the fact of the matter is, America is kind of a unique situation because, it's not hard to target what the hell's wrong there. Okay. D.C. is not part of America. D.C. is the federal government, which is a corporation known as the United States of America, Inc. So why don't all the unemployed in America just we'll make a make-work program and we just build a large wall around D.C.? Just build a big wall around the place, because it ain't part of America anyways. Yet it's the entity that has destroyed the American culture, the American people, the American way of life, removed all their manufacturing facilities from them, have decimated what America was supposed to be. So just go around and build a big wall. And once you build the wall, put a moat around the damn thing. And anybody that tries to get out of there, well, open season, I suppose. That's really what needs to be done in America. Instead of wandering down there, million-man march and all this kind of nonsense with your petitions and your placards and all that kind of nonsense that they just laugh at you because they know you're of no danger or consequence to them. Just roll in there and start building a big wall. They have a wall there at the White House, but we want a wall they can't get out. They're trying to keep you from going in. You don't want to go in there. Just build a friggin' wall and contain it. And, and that would fix a lot of problems. So, anyways, we are down. I was kind of hoping to get Tom DeWeese on here today because apparently he did do a talk on CPAC or something at some point, calling Morris Strong the most dangerous man on the planet. Um, but I got a hold of him last night, and he's out of state till late tonight. So maybe we get him on here next week or something to talk about why he considered Morris Strong the most dangerous man in the world. Morris Strong, really, most dangerous man in the world. He was a flunky who, it was laid out to him what they were trying to accomplish. So Strong's job was to figure out how to accomplish it, right? How do we build this world government? What do we use as the mechanism? How do we weasel this together? And Morris Strong is definitely a weasel, and so they put it in his hands. And as far as the elite, if that's what you want to call them, are concerned, he did a hell of a job. So then the question is, why did they let him die? Did he die? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just running off what was in the media. So, Rockefeller and Strong and all of these people are heavily invested in China. And I did see a thing, here in the chat, right? Morris Strong, maybe the son of his supposed cousin, Anna Louise Strong. And I can't say this last guy's name, Chinese guy. Whether or not that's true, I don't really spend a lot of time with that kind of stuff. I looked at it a little bit, and you can't nail it down. All right, that's just a supposed, maybe possible stuff. But the fact of the matter is the connection to China is strong, and the Rockefeller connection to China is strong, and we know that these guys are eugenicists. Because Rockefeller thought that Mao could have done a better job. In other words, he could have killed more than the 40 million or so of the Chinese population that were killed. Okay, I got a call coming in here. I have no idea who it is, so we're going to add it in because I'm really tired, and we'll see what we got. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Who am I talking to?
Who am I talking to?
Well, you called into Game On UCY.TV.
Yeah, I did. This is Liza.
Oh, hi, Liza. How you doing?
Is this Chris?
No, it's Ron, the host.
Oh, it's Ron. I'm sorry. Oh, my goodness. Okay. I just wasn't sure if it would connect. You're talking about Maurice Strong and your last show where you connected it up to Trudeau, and, I mean, just connecting all the dots. It's really amazing.
Well, I mean, all the information's there, and the problem is, and it's a huge problem, is that people have been taught through the school system not to want information. That's part of the school system, is to make it so miserable for people that they don't want to ask questions, and they just don't want to read anything. They do
it's all
read
about
something.
Just regurgitation. If it's rammed down your throat enough, you want to just barf. Right?
Right. So when you see a book, you don't want to go near it because that's what you've been regurgitating, is the garbage that they gave you to regurgitate. So it really takes away from people's want for information, and they did a marvelous job at it. So when I first started researching this in the 70s, it was a lot tougher than it is now. I found it quite pleasurable, and people thought I was a little strange, I suppose, because on the one hand, I was a bit of I wasn't a rebel. I was just out having a good time. It was the late 60s, early 70s, and I was just out having a good time and enjoying myself, but at the same time keeping an eye on actually what was going on in the world, which led me to... So you got this long-haired guy with a joint hanging out of his mouth sitting in a library going through reference books. because I was always curious as to, I knew we weren't being taught anything of any use in the school system. And being the curious dog that I am, on the one side, I looked like a total rebel, and on the other side, I was hunting down information, which is funny because I see all this talk about legalizing marijuana. Well, I don't do drugs at all now. I really don't drink now. I partied. I got that out of my system, and we were known as probably the hardest partiers anybody's ever going to find. That was just a phase to get through. It was fun. Glad we did it. But the school system, I ran into an old friend today when I was getting a coffee, and it just sickens me. He had his daughter with him and one of her friends, and they're probably in grade 8, 9 now. And he said, "How's it going?" We hadn't seen each other for quite some time, and I said, "Me, it's going good." I said, "Morris Strong kicked the bucket apparently," and he goes, "Who's that?" And I said, "Well, he's the guy who set up the garbage that's being taught to your kids in school." And he says, I said, "These kids they're not even taught to write anymore." And he said, "Well, I taught her how to write, but she's just having a bitch of a time at math." Well, that's on purpose again. But like he said, all he does is work. He's working like a dog and getting nowhere. So that's what they've done to people. People don't have...
We're all on parallel hamster wheels. And you know what I watched for the first time last night? This is something that you suggested quite a while ago, and I'm busy, with what I'm doing up here in the north,
right.
But I watched, after hearing you talk about Strong and then another reference to Spaceship Earth, and I'm thinking 1972. I don't watch movies, but I looked at that, and it's it's shocking what they were weaving, while they're doing all these other things.
Well, that's the whole problem, right? I wish everybody would watch that Spaceship Earth because the players are all in it. The main, a lot of players, most of them are dead now. But if you understand Margaret Mead and Barbara Ward and Morris Strong and I think about the only one left in that whole show that still possibly is alive is Rockefeller. I think all the rest of them are dead now.
Yeah, but they're calling for sustainable development and Obamacare. Like, we need to be willing to off ourselves at 75. So how do these geezers get to tell us when to off ourselves?
Well, it's about saving the planet, isn't it? There's too many people. I mean, if you watch the video, I mean, it's from 72, and it came out just prior to the 72 Stockholm Conference on Human Environment. And, back then they said the population was 5 billion. And Margaret Mead's sitting there, playing scales, going, we have to keep the planet in balance, and there's too many people on the planet. Well, that's when it was 5 billion. So, the only way to put the Earth in balance, obviously, is to get rid of people. And that's exactly why they use CO2 as their evil gas. Because,
well, I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, are these people in this thing, I read Margaret Mead. I mean, that's part of,
right.
anthropology and university.
Right.
I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, do they really, do they honestly believe that they're doing the right thing, or are they part of a hive mind thing already?
Oh, no, it's all hive mind, right? It's definitely hive mind. These people were picked to do a job, and it's a cult. It's a cult. And, if you ever met anybody in a cult, they are totally hive-minded, and to try to bring them to a reasonable understanding of what they're up to is not going to happen. It's you have to deprogram all of these people.
So are the police and the medical system and the scientists. I don't know about the bankers and the lawyers. I don't think they're necessarily hive-minded.
Well, the bankers and the lawyers, well, it depends. Okay, most lawyers and most bankers don't have a clue what they're up to. Most doctors don't have a clue. Most teachers don't have a clue. This is stuff that was told to them long after it was put into play. And so they come through the system just like everybody else, and they believe what they were told because they were taught not to question. So, do they know what they're doing? I would say for the most part, no. Are they intrinsically evil? No. They've been messed with mentally, and they believe what they were told. And it's the old, Psych 101.
And now it's becoming more and more about a salary as people are losing jobs, and I mean, it's just everything is crumbling.
Well, it's
if you do
to.
have a job, you're gonna allow them to twist and turn everything that you need to do. You just become
Desperate.
Yeah.
But to me, that's a good thing. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Because I'm a firm believer that as long as people feel that they can turn a blind eye to what's happened to their neighbor and it not affect them, they will. But as more and more people are being negatively affected and more of their family members are being negatively affected, then they have to start wondering what the hell's actually taking place here. Why is this?
Well, you pour all the immigrants on top of it. Everyone's talking about the immigrants now. They're realizing, oh my God, it's a global shower of immigrants.
Well, I mean, it's well planned. I mean, you're going to take down the West. You're going to take down the industrialized countries. Well, what is not an industrialized country? It's a Muslim country. They're not industrialized, not to the way the West is. And so you're going to flood in those type of people and bring their religion with them. See, here in the West, they've separated so-called religion or faith from the state. The deal with the Muslim religion is the religion is the state. Okay, that's why they're implementing Sharia law in England and Germany and France and all these places.
How close are we to it, Ron?
Oh, we were there a long time ago.
In Canada.
Oh yeah. I'm in a little town of 7,000 people. Municipality's 12,000 people. We had a fairly decent-sized real estate office on the corner, right across from the Timmy Hortons, who is another player in this. So don't drink Tim Hortons coffee because you're just encouraging these clowns by giving them your money. But right across, the real estate agency has gone from there, and they used it for a Liberal campaign office for the federal election. And now the federal election is over. There's a sign on the building, Islamic Center.
Oh, my Lord.
And this is in a town of 7,000 people. So the churches are up to their behinds in this nonsense. We have the United Church, the Baptist Church, I think the Anglican Church, all come together to help sponsor Muslim families from Syria into the area here.
How ecumenical and lovely.
Yes. So religion is a con game. Always has been. And there's a big difference between religion and, I don't even go there with this God thing, and I'm a firm believer, because I have no other explanation for it. So it just makes it easy for me. When I look around and I see, all these different kinds of trees. I mean, I look out my window here during the show, and I got walnut trees, I got maple trees, I got ash trees, I got willow trees, I got cedar trees, and plus dogwood bushes and all this kind of stuff. And for me to believe that this all evolved, every one of these different kind of trees, just in my own yard here, evolved from some single amoeba after a big bang and billions of years of water heating up and stewing up this stuff, and we all crawled out of the slime shit. Just doesn't ride with me. To believe in evolution, you have to believe that you evolved from the great ape, which is what the UN says we did, and that we, those who evolved from the great ape, are called humans, and we are destroying the earth, and therefore, well, basically, you need to call those that are destroying the planet. That would be you and I. Whereas if you look at creationism, it says that we were given dominion, not them, and that Creator created man, not humans, and he gave us law, and so man created humans and created legal, which are both tools of deception. So, but as far as religion goes, the word religion, even if you look in the King James Bible, I have a search engine that I use. I've never read the Bible. I've read bits and bobs of it. I find it extremely difficult to read, and I don't think it's that important. I just go with, I try to hit common denominators. Did we evolve from a great ape? Well, humans may have, but I'm a man, so I know I didn't. And that clears that up for me pretty quick. But if you, even in the King James Bible, there's only, I think, 4 or 5 references to the word religion. And the only religion, the only positive thing about religion is that is a religion, you abide by the law of the Creator. The other references to religion.
Well, just before you go on, my
well,
only
just let me
problem
finish
with,
this one sentence.
okay.
The other references to religion call it a deception, and that is exactly what it is. It's to deceive the people. It's like right left. It's like Muslim Christian. It's a deception. It's used to divide people and have them fight against each other, which is exactly why the Muslim influx is coming in here right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
But, that's all right. You just really sparked something. Isn't creationism taken to its extreme via King James? And my dad was a pastor, so I'm very familiar with this stuff.
Uh-huh.
Didn't they really believe? And as a child, I knew this was a huge lie. The earth literally was created 6,000 years ago. Everything that you see and experience is 6,000 years old. There's the number 6.
I don't have any way to confirm any of that. I don't have any way to confirm that the earth is 6,000 years old. I don't have any way to confirm, nor do the scientists, nor do the theologians, have any way to confirm whatsoever these timelines they give us, where there's 30 billion years or 6,000 years. There's no way to confirm these numbers, right? That's why I don't get involved in that stuff, because you end up in these long, drawn-out arguments, right? And it really doesn't solve anything. And you work with the native people, right?
I do, and guess what?
Okay, so the native people, they look to the earth. They look to the trees. They look to the animals and the water and all this kind of stuff. But they also, in the big picture of it, understand that this was a creation.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So that takes religion out of it. Okay, and that's why I just go with I got 2 choices basically. Is the 2 choices that we have to really work with, and one is evolution and one is creationism. Obviously, it doesn't take much of a mindset to understand that evolution is a complete fraud, and it's a manipulative tool.
Well, it's an insult to the incredible miracle of everything.
Evolution didn't show up till the mid-19th century, at which they decided, and I got the books, they decided for them to take control, they had to get rid of the idea of creation. For them, the lawyers and the bankers and the kings and the queens, to have dominion over us, they had to become the creators, and the only way they could do it was through evolution and turn us into animals, which is an offshoot of a great ape.
Where do you think that was first spun, Ron? Where are you aware that it got traction? How long ago?
Well, it was before Darwin, right? They just picked up on Darwin only mentioned I think evolution or that.
Darwin and Suzuki.
It was he wasn't even really an evolutionist. The evolutionist was prior to Darwin. I forget who that guy's name was. I have to look it up again. But they're always looking for tools to manipulate. They want to be king of the castle, right? And they need the rest of us doing the bidding for them. So when you go back to the divine right of kings, you find that they, being kings, and that's where the succession thing came from. That's where that whole succession thing come with the popes and the kings and queens in the different nations, was that they were successors of God. They were in the proxy position, agents of the Creator, so that when the king or the queen or the pope says something, it's as he's sitting in, or she or he is sitting in place of God. Okay, and whatever they say was transferred from the Creator to them, to us. Therefore, we must obey their laws, their rules, because their laws are God's laws, which is a complete total load of bunk. But this is how they use what they use to deceive us, and we got to get over that. You know, they've taken your dominion away from you. I mean, look what they did to the native people, for crying out loud. And it wasn't your forefathers and my forefathers who did it to the natives. Okay, it's just like
it was the crown. It was
it was the company.
Entities.
It was the company.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I I know a lot of the natives are ticked off at white people, and white people call natives lazy slugs. But this again it's to separate people and keep them disliking each other, even though they have probably never met each other.
Yeah.
So these are tools of the elite, the company, whatever the hell you want to call it, used to keep us down and keep us separated. And we got to get over that as well. You know, I've never.
Meanwhile, they're buying up the world's aquifers. Like Dr. Parker, Jane mentioned to me about him. I hadn't heard from him for a while, and he's a world water expert, and he's explaining about back when they're buying up the aquifers. I mean, it's like they're just a private little club, and the rest of us are,
we're idiots. Is what we are, and we're absolute idiots. And it's not. When I say idiots, I don't even know how to clarify that now. I've said it, but
retards.
Well, I got a lot of people. I'm not allowed to say that word.
I know. I'm not either. That's my swear word.
But when I say retard, right, or retarded, I don't mean it in the sense of a mental illness or someone who has autism or something. That's not what I'm talking about.
It's like Bob and Doug McKenzie.
We were through the school system and the religious system. We were retarded. Okay, our knowledge was held back from us.
Deliberately.
Pardon me?
Deliberately.
Yes, absolutely, which retarded our abilities, okay, of knowledge, of understanding. And so, yes, in that sense, we're all retarded. Or as they're pushing now, we're all mentally ill. You see that constantly. New mental facilities, because we're all, I actually saw the statements a few times by top psychological groups stating that, we all suffer from a mental illness. Well, of course we do, because we've all been deceived and swindled, right? So we are all been retarded.
And now vaccinated and poisoned by our food and every other which way.
Yeah. So, it's I would love to be a teacher in a school, they wouldn't even let me do a night course, for crying out loud, because they said that they didn't want anything radical in the school. When I just mentioned I would teach Canadian history, they couldn't go there because I know the real Canadian history, and if I started teaching it, that would put a stick in their spoke, so to speak.
Well, you blow what the rest of them are teaching out of the water, or that can't happen.
No, I don't know what's talking. I don't know why I hear I pay attention to certain things and very little attention to other things. But when my teacher caught me, I thought plagiarizing a paper, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was that the teacher said the information that I'd written down was incorrect, and I thought, oh boy, what an opportunity I thought you just caught me for plagiarizing this thing, which I did. Only time I ever did it. And I thought this is great. Now we could have a discussion about, you're telling me what I wrote down out of the encyclopedia is incorrect because it doesn't jibe what's in our school textbook. Now, how is that possible? Somebody's not correct. Either that textbook you're teaching us out of is incorrect or the encyclopedia is incorrect. So
Yeah,
this
it's not the process of learning how to discern. Shoot.
Well, yeah,
Sorry.
but I mean, this is a teacher, and I'm thinking, okay, this is an opportunity for the teacher to say, well, show me where you got. Bring me that encyclopedia. I want to see it. I want to read it. Make sure you didn't write it down wrong. Now, if these two things don't jive, then one of them is incorrect, or both of them are incorrect. But we got to find out what is or is not correct. And I thought this is where a teacher would shine. This is the job of a teacher, not to regurgitate garbage that is handed them to regurgitate to the class. But that's exactly what happened. The teacher says, I don't care which one's right. This is the one we were giving you to teach, and this is what we're teaching you.
The teacher said the corporation is correct.
Well, she's saying this is the curriculum that was laid down, and this is what we're teaching you, and I don't care whether it's right or wrong, but this is what we're teaching you, and that really irritated the hell out of me. And then I went to SAIT where's SAIT, in Calgary or Edmonton?
Southern Alberta. Yep.
Where is that, Edmonton or Calgary? I don't remember.
I believe it's in Calgary.
Yeah, so I went there for a little bit in my 20s.
Nate's in Edmonton, north, and the south is in Calgary. So.
Yeah, okay. So I went there. I thought I'd take a night course and on Canadian administration and business, or Canadian business and administration and law or something. Canadian business law and administration, I think it was. And I thought, okay, I'll go take a boo at that. And the book was written in America. It was about American business law and administration, not Canadian.
Oh, God.
And so I wasn't there for a few nights, and I brought it up to the teacher, and I said, I got looking at this book where it was printed and what the gist of this thing is, and then I went down to the library, and I'm looking at differences between Canadian business law and administration and American. And there's some very blatant differences here. And so what you're teaching us really doesn't apply to here. And I got the same attitude. Well, I don't care, right? This is the book we're supposed to teach you from, and this is what we're teaching. I said, but it's not. It's not, a lot of it's not practical here. Well, I don't care. And that was the absolute end of my formal education. And that's the problem. That's a huge problem. You know how to teach kids, right? You know what works with them. The kids, you can tell a kid, you can see a spark in a kid's eyes or almost this is painful, depressed look in their face when they're in the class, right? And
yeah, you can see. But I teach to the right brain, and it makes all the difference in the world, which is music and art and allowing them to express themselves that way. And then they're willing to tolerate the, the language lessons and the math and stuff. Like there is, I don't know, it's
but
it's
overall,
like a residential school where that you just need to, there are desks are all in rows, and I mean all the schools where they separate the ages. But Ron, I wanted to tell you something. There are teachers, there's excellent teachers here, a lot of them new ones, and they have no clue about alternative media. And like the rest of them all, they kind of get together and do things. I'm a pretty private person. And I told them that I'm involved with, I'm trying to explain to them what alternative radio is, they've not heard of this before. So a couple of them I said, I was talking about you and how I'd called into a show and was speaking about our situation here. So long story short, I gave them both the link of your show from last Sunday night. Uh-huh. And Alan got back to me and he said, is he a very, like, is
Is
he
he
a very
nuts?
famous, like, host? He said, like, he really thought that this was a paid position and that you were making money for this. He
Yeah,
couldn't
right.
fathom that you'd do this. No, he couldn't. And they were really, really impressed. I mean, we talk about education, the system, what we see, and I'm thinking it would be awesome. I'd like to invite them. And then eventually I think there are some local people who would feel enough privacy to be able to, speak with you about what's happening.
Well, see, this is really who I want as guests, right?
They were
I
so
don't care-
surprised.
I don't
like they
care
can't fathom
about-
it.
I don't care about having other. I mean, I have them on from time. I don't have a lot of guests because it just seems to me like regurgitating and or stroking each other, right? Which I'm not into at all. My attitude is we need to get real people to come on air and discuss, what they see, right?
Yeah.
The experiences they've had, and what they see as being wrong with this or that, or how we can make this or that right, because it's only through the people themselves that we're going to change any of this stuff. Okay, we have got, like Suzuki and these guys, these crazy people, and I call them crazy, these cultists. To indoctrinate his own child to put her at Rio at 12 is just pathetic. What does a 12-year-old child know about the world environment? Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, but why should a 6-year-old be told
like,
about intimate sexual details? This is our education system.
I know that's really ticking me off, and
I can't believe it.
But like Suzuki said, though, he was correct. We got to get to the children. Right, and I'm of the same attitude. What we need to be talking to on these shows is we need to be talking to the parents and the children. We need to get the parent on here with the child. How come you can't do math, right? Just like my friend today, his daughter's just suffering like hell with math. Well, no wonder. I've seen how they're doing math now, and it doesn't work. Same thing happened to my niece several years back, and she was convinced she was stupid. And this is part of the education system is to give people the attitude that they can only survive with the help of the state, so to speak. But when I taught my niece, I said, show me how you're doing this math. Math is quite easy, actually. And you're quite bright, so I don't get what the problem is. And she showed me what they were teaching. I said, no damn wonder you can't do math. I said, how was the rest of the class? Is it just you or the rest? Oh, she said, most of the class is failing. Well, then doesn't the teacher understand there's a problem? Okay, if most of the class can't do this, then you better find a different way to do it. But no, this is the curriculum we've been given, and this is what you have to learn without questioning why that is. So, I sat down with my niece and I said, well, here, I'll show you an easy way to do math. And so very short time, she's getting all the right answers. She can back check it like almost instantly so that she knows she's got the right answer. And then I said, there, how easy was that? And she said, but the teacher won't let me do it. Don't tell her you're doing it.
What?
Just follow through the stupid system they got now, but plug the right answer in. And so all of a sudden her math marks went right through the ceiling. Now she's at the top of the class. And a teacher who had convinced my niece that she was stupid because she couldn't do it, now all of a sudden my niece's marks are up at the top of the class, and the teacher's going like, what is it you're doing different? How come your marks got so good so fast?
Oh, because they record the marks, believe me.
Yeah, and she said, well, my uncle showed me a different way to do it. And the teacher, because the whole class was struggling, right? And said, well, will you show us what he showed you? So, I give credit to that teacher because the teacher is, a lot of teachers would say, well, you can't do it that way. You have to do it this way. I don't care if it's easier for you that way. This is the way you have to do it. A lot of teachers would do that. So her teacher being good enough to say, well, obviously there's a better way to do what we're doing. So what is it? And And I think that's the whole idea, at least in my mind, of these alternative. I hate the word alternative, but of these shows, is to actually bring real people to the show, right?
Well, people facing what we're facing now.
People who have had their. I would like to have people on here who their children have been screwed over by the Children's Aid Society, and for them to fully understand how this thing operates and why they're in the position they're in. I would like to have teachers and students come on together to have a conversation. It's all about.
Well, you will. You really will. Did you not say though that this all stems from the Prussian system? I always try to look back and see where something actually sparked, and I call it it got traction. So when was that?
Well, Ryerson and Rockefeller and all of those guys, all of the Prussian, the whole, just I don't have it in front of me right now, but when it's been a while since I read it. But basically, the Prussian system was that they couldn't figure out how Prussia was getting to train these guys that they would walk into battle knowing that they're going to get slaughtered and that they wouldn't turn around, they wouldn't retreat. How is it that they would do this, right, without running away or trying to preserve themselves? And it was a system they taught that they were there basically for the benefit of the state, okay, and that they would do whatever the state required of them. And that's basically the school system is to create not intelligent individuals who think for themselves, but to create human product for the benefit of the state. Okay? It's all about benefiting the state, not the individual.
Well, I can understand why they wouldn't want you teaching that in a course at university.
Yeah. But see, this is what's withheld from people, and basically what it is looking for common denominators, like Ryerson was there, and I mean, if you look at McGill University and what the hell's come out of McGill University over the years.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Zabrinsky's came from. I mean, it's horrifying actually to see the number of very evil people that have come out of McGill.
Oh, but it has such a lovely reputation, like Harvard and Yale.
Well, if I read the response from all the players on Morris Strong, he was just the most wonderful man on the planet,
God, he got 85 degrees, and he never had a formal education, or.
Yeah. I mean, he's a hustler, right?
Yeah.
But you're not going to read. You don't read in a newspaper that Morris Strong or was actually anti-environment. I mean, he made his money in oil. As did Rockefeller.
Yep. And then he turns around and says. Yeah.
The Baca Ranch, what's he trying to do? He's telling us that the UN is telling us that we have to reduce our water usage by 75%, use great toilet water, whatever, to save water and yada, yada, yada. But here's Morris Strong and head of EPA at the Baca Ranch trying to hoodwink and sell off the water in that aquifer. And you're right about them buying aquifers.
Yep.
Okay, the largest aquifer on the planet that I'm aware of is down at the border of Argentina and
Paraguay.
What? Paraguay? Yeah. Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome, teacher.
And I mean, the Bush family have a big stake down there. Is the Sun Moon. And I mean, they're monetizing everything on the planet. Now, nothing was monetized on the planet. That's where the native people had it right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where the native people had it absolutely right. They understood.
Chief Seattle.
Well, they understood that there was a creator, and that everything there was created for their benefit. That's dominion. Okay, and God gave man dominion. Okay, over the animals and the rivers and the trees and yada yada yada. And there was no monetization on any of that. Okay, it is there for your use, for your benefit. Go forth and multiply. So it wasn't until the advent of the lawyer and the bankers who were backing up the kings and that, who were financing their wars for them, who they are the ones who originally monetized land. Up until I don't know what it was, the 1200s or something, land wasn't monetized.
No.
The land was
Magna
conquered.
Carta.
The land was conquered, but it still hadn't been monetized yet. The kings, the king of the castle of the day, and they used to change out pretty rapidly because everybody wanted to play king of the castle. So the king or queen, whoever was in charge at the time, would claim all of this land, and then didn't sell the land. The land was granted. The land was granted. So the land use was granted by the king or the conqueror for the use by the people. So it still hadn't been monetized yet. It wasn't until the lawyers, I don't know if it was King John or King Henry, I can't remember which one it was, but they financed a war. He was short of cash, and so they coughed up, I think it was $1.2 million in gold and silver to finance the king. But then they had an idea, because they financed the king, they ought to get something out of it themselves, right? They ought to be able to profit from it themselves. So
Okay, who was financing the king? Was it the?
It was most of the financiers were Jewish.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, and
Right.
I see a big, huge Zionist thing happening. That Anyway, I'll shut up.
So basically, what they did was they said, okay, we give you $1.2 million, so and that was hard cash or real money. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to move another $1.2 million, but not real money, and that we could lend out to these people. Okay, so it was really even at that time backed by nothing. The money they gave the king was backed, but not the money that they were renting out to the villians, they used to call them, the common people.
Yep. Oh,
So
yeah.
part of the deal was it's okay. Well, we got an idea here. Why don't we sell property? And property, they understand that property is nothing more than an abstract concept. It's not real. It's something thought up in the mind. So these devilish lawyers and bankers and that said, okay, and the king's going, well, you're not selling the land. No. You will always own the land, and it's the very same today. The crown owns all the land here. Nothing's changed that way. So we said, what are you talking about? Well, we come up with this idea. We're going to call it property, not land. You will always retain ownership of the land, but you'll be able to sell property, which is what you're already doing. You're already granting them the use of the property, okay? But we're going to sell them the use of the property.
Just rent it, yeah.
You grant them the use of the land. We're going to sell them a property which grants them exactly what you're granting them now, only they're going to pay us for the privilege.
Which is why people don't have mineral rights. That's
Exactly.
a big clue.
You have a bundle of rights called a property, which is an abstract concept, which is nothing more than a frickin' con game. Okay? Instead of you being granted the use of a piece of land, you're being sold a property of which you work most of your life to pay for at interest when you don't have the right to the frickin' land, which used to be free as a grant from the king.
So the price they say is a lie. You can pay for it 3 times over, not meet your taxes to the government, and they snatch it away.
Yeah. And the Villians back in the 1200s, or the common people, when they went after the lawyers and the judges, they knew their target, and they went after him. Now, Jane MC in here calls it the feudal system. Yes, it is the feudal system because after many, many, many conversations with the Law Society of Canada, the Attorney General's office, and so on and so forth, I finally had because I kept describing Canada as nothing more than a company based on the East India Company, which was cocked up as the Hudson's Bay Company, which was branded into responsible government when the settlers were taking offense to the governors of the Hudson's Bay Company, telling them what they could and couldn't do. That's where they brought in responsible government, another con game. So eventually, and I do have it taped somewhere. One of these days, I have to go through all of these recordings and I guess get them up. But I do finally have a recording with someone from the Attorney General's office saying, "Yes, Ron, we are still in the feudal system."
Whoa. Yep.
So you are still slaves or subjects, and you're born as a subject, so it's not hard to understand. You're still in the feudal system. You are born as a subject. They switched that out to citizen, but if you look up citizen means the exact same thing as a subject. So you are in a position of servitude to the crown, okay, or the
Almost
state.
like we're all subjects in an experiment, a big global experiment to see how much we can take. I feel,
it was just a con game. It was just you take some, used car dealers or, I remember when I was a kid, and this has got nothing to do with the average Jewish person or anybody else. I take people as I get them, and if you're a prick, you're a prick, and if you're a nice person, you're a nice person. I don't care what color you are or what race you are or anything else. There's good people and evil
if you're
people.
honest, you're honest, and if you're a thief, you're a thief, right?
But I remember when I was very young, somebody buy a used car and it'd be a piece of junk or something. I'm talking when I was like 8, 10 years old, and you got that from that old Jew, right? And what is that? Or people would say, "Man, did you get Jewed?" And I go, "What the hell are they talking about?" Right? But they're absolutely correct in that sense. Is that the Jews, not all Jews, of course, just certain Jews, figured out how to swindle and how to manipulate. And when those guys who write the legal documents, the words used to deceive, and get hooked up with the bankers, and the two of them figure out a way that they can hoodwink everybody and make a lot of cash and have a lot of control, well, it's a recipe for disaster for the rest of us.
It's like the snake oil salesman, and everyone's mesmerized.
Yeah. So, I find this in the most amazing period of time. I mean, the communication we have with the internet is second to none. I mean, it beats the old smoke signal stuff, although it worked. It beat the old runner that they used to send out, dispatch out to move information. I mean, this is quick and fast and easy. But I try not to get mired down too much in the super details. I'm just looking for common denominators, right?
Well, I'm just looking for other people who are feeling the same way. And just this week, I happened to listen to a teacher in Ireland who's experiencing the same thing in education, just seeing that, she's becoming quite an activist, and I was very impressed with what I heard her say. So I emailed back, and she wrote back right away, and it seems like we're going to be getting together, like on Skype. I see a lot of, when you talk about shows you want to get parents on, and you will, and I can see one where, a bunch of us can get on, like, from different countries and talk about our common experience with you.
Well, I'm a firm believer that the teachers have a huge responsibility in turning this around, because the teachers have an audience. Okay, the teachers don't have to go looking for an audience. It's there. It's sitting in front of them.
Yep. And it's the people who are going to be there after the teacher's dead, so let's just take this on.
Exactly. We have a responsibility, not to the state, okay? And this is where it gets screwed up because people say, well, the state pays me, the state's offering me a pension, and if I don't do as the state says, well, then I'm going to come out on the short end of the stick. No, you're already on the short end of the stick. You have a duty to those in front of you in the classroom to make sure that they get useful information. Okay, because if they don't get useful information, then how are they supposed to proceed in their lives?
They can't make good choices about their life if they don't have a thinking brain.
That's right. They have to have a solid foundation to run with, right? And if they don't, that was the whole point of handing stories down from generation to generation. That was the whole point of the family schooling the child, or the local neighborhood schooling the child. I mean, I don't see happiness in the kids unless I'm missing it somewhere. I mean, I'm helping a friend do some work on his house right now. His 12-year-old son, nice kid, man. And I see him coming home from school, and hey, Jake, how's it going, boy? And, he's got his head down. He looks depressed, looks like he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulder. He's suffering.
He's burdened.
Because he can't deal with this math they're throwing at him, right? And he's getting beat down. He's 12 freaking years old, man.
Jesus.
And then you throw in this early sex education.
Don't get me on that, or I'll be swearing.
Well, the point is they're trying
to
destroy the
Kathleen
child.
Wynne, Maurice Strong, Trudeau. I mean, they're at Kissinger. They're just all part of this nasty. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know why I call it geezer plan.
Well, they're evil people, man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, it's bad. I mean, it's really bad. The children are not allowed to be children. The children are supposed to be happy and carefree. Find me some happy, carefree children, because I'd like to meet them. I don't see them anymore. I see confused people, little confused people.
I see happy children in third world countries where I've been a fair bit. You know why? Because generations are living together. If you don't get along with your parents or your sibling, there's your aunt, there's your uncle, and everyone was productive.
Exactly.
So I see a lot more happiness where we don't have our nuclear isolated families.
Well, yeah. I mean, it used to be 85% rural or something, where the families work together, the communities work together. You need a dam, you build a dam. You didn't get the state to come in and dick around with it, right? I mean, this is the early settler days. These are the people that were hardworking, family-oriented people, and they built stuff. They built their communities, they built their families. The family members looked after the family members in wealth and health and poorness and sickness and everything else. Now, as soon as someone falls on hard time, well, you should phone the government, they'll help you out. Well, what happened to the family? Where'd the family go? So the state has taken the children, the state has taken control of the families, and we got to get that back. We have got to get the family back.
Ron, Jane sent me a link last night about how the family, and this is recent, the family has absolutely no jurisdiction over the child.
Absolutely.
There are many of us on the same page looking at these things and sharing this information.
Yeah, I got a call from a friend the other day again who has two children. His last two kids are not registered with the state, and they really don't like that.
No.
They don't like that at all. And they are doing everything in their power. The kids are homeschooled, and they're living in the country, and the parents are extremely hardworking. They love their kids, and they don't want the state. And I think one of the reasons is because my other friend, Doug Shapiro, who I have to get back on the show in these days, who I don't think he didn't get burned out so much. He worked so hard for so many years trying to wake people up, but he's a little bit early, and got a little bummed out about the fact that he, it's like people were oblivious to anything, and wanted to be oblivious. But when Andrew came home from school that day, I wish I would have been there because I know Cindy well now, and Doug's girlfriend, and her son Andrew got off the school bus, and Cindy went out to meet him, and and he got off the bus. Good-looking kid. I think he was 12 at the time. Shoulder-length blonde hair, and got off the bus, and he's in full makeup, eyelashes, rouge. I mean, well done up. Not a bunch of kids farting around. I mean, he had a full face makeup on, and his mother says, like, what?
Kind of like Bruce Jenner.
Kind of like Bruce Jenner, yeah. And she looked at her kid and she goes, "What the hell is that supposed to be?"
Yeah.
And we have a history where the kid doesn't have any history. That's why they want to get to the kids, right? That's who they always make the change agents. But he just looked at her nonchalantly and said, "Well, what, Mom? That? Well, why you look like that? You look like a freaking girl." And he said, "Oh, well, today's gender reversal day."
Oh, Jesus.
At school, like it's normal. Okay.
But didn't Mao do that to the children? Exact same thing.
That I don't know.
Before the revolution there, where the children went and destroyed all the ancestors' things. I mean,
because it's always about
cultural revolution.
Well, because when Doug was doing a talk up at North Owen Sound a little bit. I was giving a talk on actually wind energy, and I was saying something about Hitler. I was actually talking about Hitler children, how the state took the children there from the parents.
Yeah.
And Doug popped in and said, he'd seen a tag on from the Green Party. This was back in 2010 or whenever. That telling the kids to vote green or something, and accuse, and it said right on their label, your parents effed up the environment. So that's the state to children. Well, that's what they're propagating to them in the schools, as far as I know, is that your parents' generation has threatened your future. Okay, so turn away from your parents. Turn away from everything you did. Only listen to us.
Yeah, because your parents have the memory of what happened in the past.
And the children don't. So the children's minds are wide open. And that's why they took the children from the family, because it used to be the family could, speak to the child and bring the child back to reality. It's like the one preacher that was going to give me his church, but then he disappeared. I don't know. We were talking about this stuff several years back, and I was looking for a meeting hall, and I asked. This was Al Gore time with the Inconvenient Truth, and he had 3 young children in school, and I says, like you're a preacher, and then you send your kids to the school, how's that working out for you? And he says, I find I have to deprogram them almost every day they come home, because they come home and tell me this stuff that was told to them by the school, and I have to say no, that ain't correct. Right, and I mean, he knew this whole Al Gore thing was a load of bunk, but yet, this is what kills me. I'm talking to this preacher man, and he knows this is all bunk. He knows,
but he still sent his kids to the school.
Exactly.
I can't get it.
Well, it's convenient, right? It's convenient.
Well, to be honest, it's a babysitting service.
Well, it is worse than a babysitting service, because the babysitters are very abusive to the children mentally.
Yes.
So if you think about it, if you hired a babysitter, okay, and you came home and found out that your babysitter is playing porn movies to your 2-year-old and 3-year-old and teaching them how to touch themselves and how pleasurable it is and how they're all sexual beings from birth, you'd have a freaking freak out. You'd kick that babysitter down the sidewalk so fast it'd make your head spin. But yet, you do the same thing with your child with the state school system. That makes no sense. Because
they have their best interests at heart, don't you know?
Well, I guess one would have to define best interest. But
their best interest.
What's this here? Somebody put this in the chat. Mandatory homosexual partnership day for Mrs. Collins' 2nd grade class. Whatever that's supposed to mean. But we have got to we have got to take the children back. We have got to become responsible again. We have got to, build a new community outside of their community. And that's what I said way back in 2010. And I didn't know exactly why I was saying it. But we almost have to build like a parallel society till we beat this other society off of us. We have to learn how to say no and mean it. And
well, it's called displacement. If we connect together, the more that we can resonate with one another, the less they just fall off the edges.
Well, they can't survive the truth, and they can't survive the light. And I look back. Do you know about the Doukhobors?
Absolutely.
Okay, now the Doukhobors are a Russian Christian sect, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and they were basically, their attitude was that they are from the Creator, and that they were given law by the Creator, and that's the law they're going to follow, not the state law, and yada yada yada. And they're not paying taxes and that.
Weren't the Shakers an offshoot of them? There were many offshoots.
Who was that?
The Shakers.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were a very devout Christian group from Russia, and they moved, I guess, basically out to BC, and whenever the state would try to get control of them, and it's the same thing they did with the Native people, and they do with everybody else, it's through coercion and sneakiness and lies and deceptions, in order to get them to sign a treaty or agree to something. You don't want to negotiate with the state, because the state has the state in mind, not you. So when you go into negotiation with the state, the idea is to hoodwink you or get you to submit or take away your rights or whatever. It's always for the benefit of the state, never the benefit of the people.
The state's like a parasite, a backrider that, just puts their feet up and lets everyone else do the work.
Yeah. But the Doukhobors used to just, when the government would get too uppity on them, all the women would just, and these were pretty heavy women, would just disrobe and do a march, right? Just stick this in your face, But see, what they did was they said no and they meant it, okay? And that's the whole point. This idea of violence, we have no requirement for violence whatsoever. We will lose. We will lose if we get violent. You can't win that game. That way, if you do get violent, then of course all you're doing is playing their side, because now they have the right to say, "Oh my God, there are terrorists here. We gotta ramp it up." So you don't want to get violent. What we need to do is understand that the state is not your friend, that the state has no authority whatsoever over you, and they don't. You didn't vote for anybody. I was talking to a girl at Max the one night, and I said, I was talking about this, and I said, nobody's ever gotten a paycheck. And she said, well, I get a paycheck. No, you don't. I don't? No, you don't. Well, they give me a paycheck, but it's not to you. Okay, they didn't pay you because you can't do any commerce. Okay, you, the man or woman, cannot do commerce. Only the legal registered entity, the legal person, can do commerce. You, the man or woman, can't buy or sell a damn thing. Okay, only because you're acting as an agent or a proxy for the corporate person, which is, again, an abstract concept used to deceive. So, we never voted. It's an impossibility for a man or a woman to vote. So when they say, well, you voted for us. No, we didn't, because we can't. Therefore, the fact that we didn't vote because you said we did, and it's a deception and a fraud, that we didn't vote because you made it so we can't vote. Therefore, you can't tell us what to do because we didn't vote for you. Okay? All we did was conduct a proxy corporate vote for the shareholder. Okay? So all you're putting through your legislative process is corporate rules and regulations.
Of course.
But I, the man, is impossible for me to be part of your corporation because the man can't be involved in commerce. Therefore, I cannot be involved in your corporate laws and regulations, rules and regulations. Therefore, they do not apply to me. And I think that's kind of where the Doukhobor is working from, right? Is that we are men and women. We are not entities of the state. Okay? That's an impossibility. And that's the same thing Enos did with his children by not registering. They are not entities of the state.
Well, it's
They're
common
not
law, the law
agents.
that's tied to the land, is it not?
Pardon me?
It's common law is tied to the land, and we're under maritime law, which is tied
well,
to...
I don't like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I looked at that for a bit. You know, people say, well, we have common law. Well, why do you want common law? Okay.
Yeah, but that's better than what we have now.
You want law. Okay?
Yeah.
You want law. You don't want common law. You don't give a damn about maritime law. Every time you put a word in front of a word, you change the meaning of the word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We want law. Okay? All of what they're talking about is legal. Common law is legal. That's something jacked up by the bankers and the lawyers to deceive you. Okay? If you have common law, that is law for what? The common people. Well, wait a minute. If I'm a common people, that means there's somebody that is not common, and that's who's running my life for me. So why the hell would I want common law? I want law. I don't want legal. Okay? And I ain't a human. I want law. Okay? The Creator said that I'm a man, and He gave us law. Period. And that's what we want. So no, I people get so screwed up and waste so much time with all of these. It's like Michael Schmidt, the raw milk farmer. I go, why don't you just lose that word raw? I mean, they stigmatize the cow's milk by putting raw in front of it, and you're running with it. You know, we demand we can drink raw milk. Well, milk is not raw. Milk is milk.
When you said that about all the vegetables and the meat and all this crap in the supermarket and what the hell, I mean, it's so logical, it's ridiculous.
Well, logic is hard. I don't know why it's hard. The milk that you buy in the store, they call it milk. That's a deception because it's not milk.
No.
The milk that came out of the cow was the milk, okay? And then when you took that cow's milk and you put
actually
it
a lot of it is tough,
processing
so you
plant,
created something different.
And you superheated it, and you killed anything good in the milk, and then you turned around and added back into the milk. Obviously, it's not milk.
Yeah.
Okay, the milk once it's been messed with is no longer what it was. So. The government is after Michael for people having milk, simple milk, and the ones that are messing with the milk have the license, the monopoly license on that product, but they're two totally different products, and they're saying that his milk, because it hasn't been processed, in other words, it hasn't been turned into a commercial product, so to speak. That he can't, and nobody can have it. It's ridiculous. But then that sticks with the idea that the world's upside down, right?
Where does the situation stand now? Were you saying that now they're telling him like he can do it from his farm, but just not to venture into the city to make this available to the people who need it?
Well, that's what the attorney, the Crown Attorney, told him years ago at a court case, that they didn't really give a damn about his milk. They just didn't want him to make it visible to people, so he can move milk up in his neck of the woods, and nobody's going to buy. There are lots of people drinking raw milk up in the rural areas, right? And the police really, I mean, what are they doing? Running around, busting people for milk? No. It's just that Michael had people who bought the cow share program who were concerned about their children's health or whatever, or their own health, and they found it to be quite beneficial to them. They were living in the city, so they bought the parts of the cow, and then Michael, instead of them having to drive 2 hours up to the farm, he said, "Well, I'll just put it on the bus."
Well, that's where people in the city need to show some initiative, and if they had a group of maybe 10 of them, they could take turns. Once every 10 weeks, they'd go up there, and then they'd have all the milk they need, and that would That would bypass.
Well, they do. The milk. The milk is good for like if you for about 7 days. So they do the run every week, right?
Good.
And Michael and them have bought a reefer truck now. So, but I don't know if you've seen that. But you can go to Michael if you just put in Michael Schmidt. You'll end up at his Facebook, or I think somebody's running a blog for him. I think called the Bovine. I think that's what it's called. Mike, if you just put Michael Schmidt the Bovine, you'll end up there. Or Michael Schmidt on Facebook. But what they did was, and he used a few words that I sent him. One was that everyone has the right to unadulterated, wholesome food. Now I went into the creator, and then it was a creation, and you can't mess with stuff like that. They didn't do that. But they used that little bit of it, and they put a big food rights manifesto or decree on the side of the truck, on both sides of the truck, and then they were in Queens Park, or at Queens Park, I think last Wednesday. They had a meeting with the so-called government officials, and went down there to have a signing, people signing on the truck, and so it's become a great poster truck. And they had to sign both sides of the truck because so many people were signing the truck down there. And then when they were done all that stuff, Michael cracked open some milk down there, and they were raising their glasses of milk to celebrate. Well, as soon as they did that, the police showed up.
Oh, jeez.
And told them that they couldn't be doing that. That wasn't part of the agreement on bringing their truck down for the signatures, right? That they didn't specifically mention that they had any intentions of drinking milk in public. My God!
God, how dare they?
God,
and yet,
what are you?
At the Gay Pride Parade, you can see, you know what, prancing down the street.
Yeah, I can wander basically naked, as lewd as I bloody well want, at a Gay Pride Parade, and all of the politicians will be there cheering me on. Like it's a wonderful thing as we decide where the transgendered washroom is going to be, or in fact, we don't even need a transgendered washroom, because if you feel like a boy today, use the boys' washroom, and if you feel like a girl tomorrow, use the girls' washroom. That's how sick this truly is.
I know, and they're raising a glass of milk, and the police show up. So, I mean, that's just a little slice of life, isn't it?
Well, the police see it as raw milk. The most dangerous subject. Heroin's a much easier problem to deal with than raw.
Oh yeah, there's less deaths from heroin than there is from raw milk.
Oh, you've seen the data? It's amazing. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, I'm shocked.
Just kidding. No, and this is why I would so much like to. I've talked to Native people on different Facebooks, and I'm a white guy for most parts, and there's a stigma still attached to a lot of Native people that I'm a white guy or something. Even though I do have just enough Native blood in me from my grandfather and great grandfather that I feel very connected to the land and the people. Mm-hmm. But I would. Those are the kind of people I want to really talk to. I don't care if you wrote a new book. I really don't give a damn, right?
Uh-huh.
Pat yourself on the back. You wrote a book. Maybe I'll write a book someday. Who knows? But that's not the people that are going to change anything. It's the people talking to the people down on the ground. Getting some parents and some children together to on air discuss what's right with the school system, what they find wrong with the school system, why they're not doing something, down at the school boards. How come you're not in their faces, right?
But a lot of these people, Ron, are not aware of the on-air venue. And this is what really surprised me. These are very aware young people I'm teaching with, and they aren't even aware of this venue. Well, this venue has been part of my life since I said goodbye to the television like 7 or 8 years ago. And it's become like I just can't perceive of anyone not knowing about this. So the idea is just to share it gently.
Well, this is the other problem. People think and I've been complaining about this since we first started doing online radio. People, while it's a great venue and it's a venue that we can use, because I've been told, and I'm sure most other people that do online radio have been told if they pursued it that you're not going to be on the mainstream. It ain't going to happen. So this is a venue that we can use, but people think that it's a great tool. While it's a great tool, it's like a shotgun blast from where I sit. Okay, the odds on you hitting your exact target with a shotgun is pretty slim. You're going to spray some stuff. In other words, I have someone in Ireland listening, or I get calls from people in the States that listen, or in BC that listens, or in the West Coast that listens, and Scotland and stuff like that. That's all well and good. But if you think, like even Canada has, 34 million people, whatever the number is now, how do we get connected to those people? And that's why I keep, professing that we need either to be to flyer the town or a section of the town, or put out a small newspaper so that the people discuss this stuff amongst themselves. Okay, if I have a really dedicated listener or something in a small town such as my own, and he's listening and he's learning stuff, and I hope people learn something from this show. And he goes out and he goes to the coffee shop with his buddies and he starts yakking at them, and they have no clue really what he's even talking about. Okay, and that makes it difficult. It makes it very difficult. Well, I listen to online radio. Oh, you're one of them nutcases, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the problem with the internet. So to have a small paper or even a flyer of somebody put out a flyer of upcoming shows or whatever, or this is an opportunity to look deeper into history or whatever. So just like you said, you're talking to people and they don't know nothing about online media, right?
Do you want to know the funniest thing, Ron?
What?
This one teacher is going home to see her parents at Christmas, and she said, "Where is this Ron from?" And I said, "Concord," and she said, "That's where I'm going home to." She lives there.
Ouch.
It's awesome, don't you think?
Well, it is.
She's
it is.
20. She's 28, so her parents would be, I guess, in their early 50s.
Yeah, that'd be my age. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I may know these people.
I'm just proud to know you and to be sharing that there are people, that are speaking up.
Yeah. I mean, I really I look to this Morris Strong thing as a real opportunity, because a lot of people have no clue who this guy actually is or what he's connected to.
Are you thinking he didn't really die?
Well, I don't know it. A lot of it, he may have died, but I mean, he's 86, and
yeah. But if he has all these things, why wouldn't there be more information on his death? You'd think it would just be big, huge news.
Well, they don't really want a big splash on any of these names. Like when David Rockefeller finally kicks off, it won't be a big deal. It'll be very subtle and quiet, because they really don't want. For most people, that article that was out in the papers last night was very short, said a few things. Most of the people have no clue who Morris Strong is, and so they pay him a small tribute. People would look at a bit of this and go, Morris Strong died, and he was a friend of Pierre Trudeau, says Justin Trudeau, and yada, 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 so what do I care, right? Because if they do too big of a write-up on it, then it would encourage people to go find out who the hell this guy actually is. I suppose he probably died. Last piece I seen on the last video I saw him on, he was looking pretty old. He's 86, so, but, like somebody wrote, like they have the ability to keep these guys alive now. Why wouldn't they have kept them alive? Did he tick somebody off, or was he just used up, or they don't need him anymore? I mean, he was. I mean, when you get right down to it, I mean, Morris Strong was just basically a bum boy for these guys, right? He was a very small player, as was Margaret Mead and Barbara Ward and those
Well,
people.
no difference between him and Obama and anyone else that will take on the public persona of what they're doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, these people are just players for the lawyers and the bankers, and that's all they do. I mean, they're flattered. They live with flattery and ego, and they're told they're great people and that they can help the world and all this and they believe it, right?
Yeah.
Because
the children do, especially. That's the part that gets me. They're just so, they're just, and they appeal to the child's compassionate nature, and they play it for all it's worth.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to monopolize your show, Ron. I just.
Well, no, I'm really happy that you're on here because I was so freaking tired this morning. And
do you know why I called in when you said you were tired? Like a couple of Sunday nights ago, I knew you were tired, and I thought, okay, I'll call in, and I thought that was my cue to call in.
Well, I so much appreciate it because you bring a perspective from the teaching side, and you're more attached to the people than I really am as far as the school system is concerned, and I believe that. I mean, it pains me to think about what the children are being subjected to. I mean, I was subjected to all kinds of propaganda as a child through school. I got that, but this is while that any propaganda, any deception is a lie, and any lie is a fraud. Is painful to bear, but the level of evil crap that's being shoved down the children's throats today is I don't think we have a record of it being any worse at any time in history.
No.
And
it's accelerating because I think they think they're losing their grip. I see things like Paris, just all over the place.
They're
it's
desperate.
Like fireworks. They're
absolutely desperate now. Okay?
They are very, very, very.
The global warming didn't fly. It flew for a little while, then it didn't warm, so they changed it to climate change. The new lieutenant governor we have here in Ontario, Elizabeth Dowdeswell, appointed by Harper, a signature on Local Agenda 21 with Morris Strong. She's out of the UN, and I watched that video of her, and she's just tired of this incrementalness, right? She just wants it done. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get it done. And because propaganda does have a shelf life. Yeah. And they've been propagandizing this imminent doom of the Earth because of CO2 emissions and that. And it hadn't happened. Nothing's changed. Yesterday was today the same as tomorrow, and vice versa. Their ability to con even the youngest students now into this nonsense is sliding fast. The best before date is up, and so they know it. That's why I'm wondering. Did Morris Strong die? Did Morris Strong off himself? Did Morris Strong, who is last I heard in Beijing, actually still in Beijing? Because there's no evidence.
Maybe they've cloned him.
Well, normally,
this is out of left field, Ron, but something that to me, for a bizarre reason, was a wake-up call was my daughters are dual citizens. Mm-hmm. They're in their early 30s, and I've kept an eye on American politics for that reason. Otherwise, I wouldn't. And when Obama, this whole thing, and their dad's black, and so I'm keeping an eye on that whole dynamic as well. After Obama got elected, when he let go of all those generals, there was something that just kicked me right in the guts. I think these were men that couldn't be part of their big game plan.
Well, that's what happens in a
whole
cult.
Bunch of them, and after that, it was their game on, right?
Well, cult mentality will always remove anyone that questions, right? Because the cult can't stay together if you have people questioning, right? So, I mean, even people who have been in it for a while, at some point, hopefully their morals rise to the top, and they just look at what they're doing. Even though if in the beginning they thought what they were doing was right, at some point come to the conclusion, this is screwed up. I can't continue with this. And then they go to their so-called bosses or leaders and say, and then they find themselves on the street real fast. It's like the old story, and I forget his name, but this is a newspaper guy who was being honored, and he said, we're all prostitutes, the rich men, and if we wrote our real opinions, we would find ourselves on the street before morning without a job. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I'm sure there's some generals out there and some really good teachers out there and preachers out there who come forward to their overlords, if you want to call them that, and say, this isn't working. I can't be part of this. We need to change this, or bring it to their attention. Do you understand what it is we're actually doing? And they will be sidelined so fast. Because
it's a war mentality. When I first heard that they sell guns to both sides, and growing up in Canada where it was really, really rammed down our throats, we are a peacekeeping nation, right?
Wasn't that a great
and the
piece
whole
of
Afghanistan
propaganda?
thing starts, and our troops are protecting those people. Like, I really believe that lie. Then I saw pictures of our troops fully armed protecting the poppy fields, and I just went, oh, shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at Canada and America, I mean, it was a beautiful piece of right-left.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, America is the eagle or whatever, and they are the world's military powerhouse, and they're stomping on everything all over the world. And up here in Canada, we are the most peace-loving, understanding, caring people on the planet. And our job is, once the Americans go in and kill everybody and destroy the countries, well, we in Canada, we run in there and we do the good stuff, right?
Well, look at the Underground Railroad. We opened the doors to Vietnam vets, to all these different people. We were the good guys, weren't we?
Good cop, bad cop, man. You know, all working for the same outfit. And I find people, like I see a lot of people now going, "Oh, Putin's the best president." Well, come on, whoa. This is the same game again. This is good cop, bad cop. All of these people are agents of the United Nations, who are the bankers, the lawyers, and the leaders of all of the countries, and they're all just playing good cop, bad cop to confuse the hell out of people. And this is all about the same thing. This is about creating a world government where a handful of people have control over every asset and resource on the planet. That's all this is about. Okay? And that you will have adequate right to adequate water, housing, yada, 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 schooling, and so on and so forth, as prescribed by those who hold the right to all of the resources on the planet. They decide for you what is adequate for you.
The only right we have is to fund them, I'm realizing.
Is to what?
To fund them.
You hit that. You hit that on the button. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, we're the funding mechanism.
Yep. That's our only inalienable right, and we're part alien, so that makes sense.
For our own demise.
Yeah.
We're funding our demise. How stupid is that? How ludicrous. Yeah, I like that. But no, it's all a game. It's always been a game, and it's king of the castle. So instead of having castles all over the place, called nation states and that, instead of having a whole bunch of castles that everybody's trying to be king of their castle, we destroy all of the castles, i.e. nation states, even though they're all corporations, but you don't know that. The general public don't. They think they're nation states. So the idea is to end all of the nation states and build a big castle. And from
They
that
gave us
big
a white
castle,
picket fence in the 50s to pretend we had a castle. Remember those days when we had manufacturing and we were a vibrant country, remember?
well, yeah, and it was all taken away, right? Because the idea is to destroy the West. Because the
Build
West,
them up and destroy them.
well, yeah, you know that
They
that
built
also,
up China. I think they're destroying China now because they used to have the manufacturing, and now that's all being replaced.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody's being suckered all over the place to play a part until through flattery and that and ego stroking until they change their plans or they get to the next stage of their plan of which you're not part of because you've already played your part and now we don't need you anymore and that old Bob Dylan song.
Everything is broken.
What is no? It's called War or something. What the hell is that called? Something of War. Somebody's got to throw that in the chat. It's something of War. But in that song, he said, "You build to destroy," and absolutely correct, right? What the hell is that song? Oh, I'll dig it out. It's
I
actually
never liked his voice, but I did like his lyrics.
well, actually, you know, I don't know. This is one of his strongest lyrics, you know, but the gist of it is absolutely bang on. Let me see here. Let's see. I wish I was a teacher in the school, man. I just think that would be so fascinating.
Well, I love it, and this is my last couple of years, and I just love the situation I found myself in. It's pretty amazing. I'm using everything I've learned, and it's really, really working.
Yeah, I mean, he. Let me see if I can get this here. Yeah, so you only got a couple years left, right?
That's it. Then I moved from Canada.
Then you what?
Well, then I wanna get a base somewhere. I'm looking at like Nicaragua or somewhere where I can get a place, and then in the summers I can come up and visit family in Canada and friends in the U.S.
You just don't want to be cold. That's all.
Well, I'm cold right now. It's minus 20. You know, we're heading into a pretty severe. It's gonna. Oh, but there's global warming. I'm sorry.
No, you're not, because 2015 was the warmest year, and there's a huge El Nino, which looks like 2016 is going to be even warmer. So it can't be.
Well, tell the people in Texas who are
be
beyond
minus.
freezing right now.
Well,
No,
sorry.
no, you're lying.
Well, obviously that is tin hat stuff. It cannot possibly be minus 20 in Alberta right now, because of the global warming. I mean, Canada is warming at twice the rate of the rest of the globe. I read that.
Oh, we are. We are.
Yeah.
That's
so obviously.
That's why there's a foot of snow and I got icicles hanging off my roof.
So
that's why.
You question the scientists? I mean, come on. I mean, if they tell you you're warm there and it's warming twice as fast, you have to accept that. Surely you could accept that.
Well, they're feel free to come and shoot me now if the scientists want to do that.
Yeah, it's so crazy, and this is what's so beautiful about this right now. I mean, this is really beautiful. These guys are so desperate to get us locked into their carbon trading and their environmental legal system, of which they've been writing for years, in environmental legal law. That they've been writing for decades now. When they're ready to finally put the hammer down on us, they have us sufficiently trapped, they think. But this is what I'm saying. I mean, they're so over the top now that nothing that they say is believable. You know,
I think they got nothing short of a calamity that's not like happening over there, right? And most of these are fake. You know, like the Paris restaurant wasn't even like we all know, like, but this is so hard to explain to people who aren't aware of this alternative thing. Like it's like you're speaking a different language. But I really do think that there's going to be something inbound, whatever it is, like in the U.S. or Canada.
well, here's a really interesting thing. I mean, this I like. Now, Pope Francis, he said something along the idea that Jesus maybe was a mistake or something. I don't know. But this is the kind of story that we got to move over on this side of the water. Pope Francis is to visit Central African Republic's capital, which is torn apart by Christian versus Muslim violence.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, and that's what they're bringing to you, folks. Okay, and always goes back to Warburg, who said that we will have world government by conquest or by consent. They are doing everything in their power here in the West to get us to consent. You know, when I was looking, I did I don't forget which show it was recently, but where I was talking about the size of Syria, which is like 23 million people. There's 5 million of them almost in camps, 5,000 leaving a day. And I was looking at the makeup of the country, and it used to have a fairly, comparatively speaking, it was small, but a Christian population in Syria. And since the conflict started, the percentage of Christians, and I don't know what exactly happened to them, is almost zero now. Okay, and I think it was about 10% at one time. So that to have these so-called Christian ministers and churches embracing this influx of migrant militant or non-militant, but Muslims into the country. Obviously, they didn't do their homework or their players, and you can bet your bottom dollar they're players because all the churches are 501s, which are bound to the state. So they do the bidding of the state. So
yeah, and they preach Romans 11, render unto Caesar. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly, which is total bunk. So. And the teachers in the schools, I don't know what it's like up in the reserve where you are, but I would think the mainstream schools, I would think, and I may be wrong, and I'd like to find this out actually, the curriculum taught to the native, in the native schools, are you aware, are they identical to the curriculums that's taught to the general
our school system is a federal Indian Reserve school system. This is the education system. It's not provincial. And there's tons of money, I call it the funnel, tons of money pouring in the top, and there's only drips coming out the bottom. But you said something about the Pope. I want to ask you something. He claims to represent the Christian church, and he's flying all around like some angel from God. Why is it that in all his performances in the U.S., he never once said the word Jesus or Christ?
Well, because
why?
Why?
I'm pissed at
because
this.
Well, if you look into the history of it, these guys are you know. I look at it this way. I look at the kings and the queens and the Pope. They say they're Christian. They're not. They say, you know, I don't know the exact words. Your dad was a pastor or something. Maybe you can help me out with it. But the way I look at this is that the story goes that God gave Lucifer the boot, or Satan or whatever, the angel gave him the boot, and I can see him down on the ground here going, you know this creation you've made. Yeah, I'm going to destroy it. Okay, and that's who the Pope is, and that's who the Queens are. These are people who are
Well, why
exactly
is that
opposite.
name? Why is that name
exactly.
like acid in their mouths? It's acid in their mouths. They won't say it. That tells me something.
Well, sure, because they're the opposite of what they say they are. Okay, thou shalt not kill. Give me a freaking break. You know, this is where
Thou
they
shalt
use
not
religion.
steal.
This
There are
is,
some
this
that
is,
brag
well,
about stealing. You know, they brag about it.
It's all about giving the idea of creation a bad name or religion a bad name, and you know, you hear this constantly. You know, oh yeah, Jesus and God. Yeah, I mean religion. How many people? Every freaking war basically been a religious war of one sort or another, and they, you know, and they kill and they kill and they kill and they kill. I don't want nothing to do with this Christian damn thing. And that's exactly what religion is about. And
Akbar Allah.
the Pope is not. You know, he says that they say that Peter was the first Pope, and these other guys are the successors to Peter. No, these are Earth worshippers. These are paganists. These are Satanists.
But they don't, Ron. I don't think they worship the earth because they're purposely poisoning and fracking and attacking the earth. I don't like that term, earth worshiper. To me, an earth worshiper is someone.
They're using the earth. Well, Satan or Lucifer's job is to destroy God's creation or the Creator's creation. But the most important enemy they have is they're fracking and they are poisoning. Understanding that the earth will rebuild itself. The enemy is you. You're the enemy. That's what they're trying to kill. Okay? I mean, they say it over and over and over and over again. I mean, it's written everywhere. You know, humanity is the enemy. You know, keep Earth in balance, right? We're the enemy. But they are definitely not men and women following the law of the Creator.
Well, when people, like people that aren't aware of this stuff, if the Pope is mentioned, I just asked that simple question. I said, so why does the Pope never say the word Jesus or Christ? And they look at me and I said, check it out. I said, that doesn't make sense to me. So if you can say one thing like that to them that kind of gets them, you know, even thinking for a bit, I call that traction.
Well, it's a very good that's what you're saying makes all kinds of sense. But see, back in I have a book somewhere on my blog and on my Facebook, I think, which specifically deals with the fact that they couldn't move the ecology program forward until they got rid of God. Okay, and they said that they killed God, or God was killed, or God died in the middle 19th century is exactly when they brought in evolution, and that they allow the people to cling to the idea or the ghost of God while they move their program forward. The same thing they did with the Constitution of the United States.
Would the ghost of God be
people,
Jesus on the crucifix? Would that be a symbol of the ghost of God?
Well, I mean, if you look at the Pope's cross, it's crooked. If you look up crooked or bent, you see deception, trickery, so on and so forth. So you know these guys are working for the other side.
Well, it makes you want to barf, doesn't it?
Well, it does and it doesn't because we are living in a time where all of this stuff, for once, is finally being exposed completely. And something's going to happen here, and either the good people are going to step forward and say, no, we're on to you, or the bad people are going to win. And I, from the bottom of my heart, believe that the people will just come together and say, you know what? We get it. You have no credibility. You're evil. You started all the wars. You've deceived everybody. You hurt the children, and we'll have no more of it. And then we can start a rebuilding process. That's what I'm hoping for anyways. And I believe it's going to happen.
I think so too, to be honest. I really do. That's what keeps me going.
That's the only thing that keeps me going, right? As I am positive we will win because we're supposed to win. Okay? I find this is a great test from the Creator, right? You know, the word was, let no man deceive you. Okay, we've been deceived. Now we're waking up. Okay, now we have a responsibility. So what takes place is basically up to us. So, anyways, Liza, I want to thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Bacon, I enjoyed the show so freaking much today.
Oh, I enjoyed it so much, and we have more to look forward to.
Absolutely. So, folks,
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Back to Tuesday night at 7 at 8. And, I want to thank everybody who's had involved. Bye. And I guess you're right. Take care. Bye-bye.